The 19th century of mankind was an era full of disaster and destruction for trees. I witnessed the raging fire devouring the nearby bushes. The billowing smoke represented the destruction of countless plants, and more nearby bushes were cut down. Now, the reason why I can still stand here as a narrator of history, introducing every bit of the past. The story starts with two Scottish brothers. They are William Deans and John Deans. I got to know from human friends that William and John left Scotland and emigrated to New Zealand in 1840 and 1842 respectively, and finally decided to settle in Canterbury Plains in 1843. In 1854, before John's death, he asked his wife to ensure that the bush was permanently protected. It could be said that if it were not for the efforts of the Deans family, today's Riccarton Bush would have ceased to exist. Another important turning point occurred in 1914 in human history. This year, the Deans family gave the remaining 6.35 hectares of Riccarton Bush to the people of Canterbury, on the condition that it always maintains its natural state. The council was established under the Riccarton Bush Act of 1914 and opened to the public on February 24, 1917.
I think at that stage the Deans must have decided that this land was so important that in 1914 John II, the son of John Deans, actually gifted the whole of that to the people of Christchurch, and for the mayor of Christchurch to hold this place in perpetuity. So the whole thing was that this land was gifted. It could never be used for any other purpose apart from enhancing, preserving, conserving. In 1914 there was actually a parliamentary act developed, which was the Riccarton Bush Act 1914, and that basically protects the bush.
In 1947, the Christchurch City Council bought Riccarton House from the Deans family, and the area around this bush was expanded.
And so I think the thinking was that if we had someone on the trust with that level of mana, that again that would be further protected.
And it's a real privilege to be in that role. I mean, my predecessor, Brian Malloy, was in that role for probably 40 years. And I mean, his work, he transformed the bush. Before he came along, the bush, it was looked after, but not very well. And Brian just really changed the bush, and he managed it very actively. Before he came, they used to clear all the woody debris out of the forest floor. They used to mow the grass. They used to, they just didn't look after the bush. They thought they were looking after it, but they weren't really. And Brian said, look, this is the wrong way to go about things. So they stopped mowing. They stopped raking all the woody debris up, let it fall on the ground and just rot there so nutrients would recycle. They put irrigation into the bush. They built a predator-proof fence around the bush, and the bush is just vibrant now compared to what it used to be like. And so I'm following in his footsteps, and I feel incredibly privileged because he did all the hard work, and I guess my role is just to take the story, or take the bush on the journey forwards now.